Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jesse, and recently I decided to read some of the most popular books of 2023, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on those books with you. I found this list on Goodreads a few months back that had all the popular books on it from the year of 2023, but now looking at it, this list has shifted quite a bit, it's changed quite a bit. But before the list was updated, I picked out 4 books from the list that were the most popular at the time. I feel like I've gotten increasingly worse at keeping up with the times, keeping up with the popular books, which is not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, but at the end of the day, I just end up getting FOMO. I want to be in the know. I want to know why these books are popping off. What is in these books that is causing people to not stop talking about them? I need to know. I need the tea. Even though I feel like I tend to fall into this place where I know everything there is to know about these popular books because I see them on the daily on my social media feeds. People don't stop talking about them. So I get to a point where I'm like, wait, have I read this book, or have I just seen it so often and heard about it so often that my mind is tricking itself into thinking that it's read it? Let's start with the Dragon book, because we all know that the Dragon book is going to be on this list. First up, Fourth Wing. By far the most popular book of 2023, if not the most popular book to come out the past 5 years. Like, I can't think of another book that's blown up in the way that Fourth Wing has blown up. I think with Fourth Wing, it's really hard to leave your expectations at the door because of how hyped this book has gotten. I think it's been a long time since we've seen a book reach this level of popularity. Like, it's insane. When it first came out, it was selling out everywhere. It was like the book community's version of the Stanley Cup. That's how I've been visualizing it in my mind. Hordes of people running to the bookstore to get their hands on this book. The resale rate of the books that had the dragons on the edges, insane! If you don't know anything about this fantasy story, let me fill you in a little bit. In it, we are following this girl named Violet. She goes by Vi, and her mother's reputation paints her every move with distaste. Everyone judges her harshly because of her mother, who is a general. Violet has always thought that she would pursue being a scribe at War College, but her mother has always had other plans for all of her children. No matter what, she has always wanted her children to be dragon riders. But this is rough for Violet because of the fact that she has a physical disability, making it tough for her to take on such a grueling and physically demanding route. And like, that part of it does really make it sound like an interesting and fun story concept. But this is a romantasy title, which does mean that this story has a strong romance element present within it, and that element begins to grow the more that the plot progresses. I truthfully felt like the author did a good job of not having the romance kind of swallow the story, but I'll touch on that later. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the romance later. Let's start at the beginning and work our way there. I felt like the beginning of this book was a rush, and I really enjoyed the first bit of this book. I feel like I've heard this book often be compared to Divergent, and the beginning portion, yes, the 2011 Divergent feels were present. It feels like we're following adult characters who ended up in Dauntless in Divergent, and that worked for me. I was excited about it. I feel like this book honestly pulls a lot of elements from popular books back in like the 2010s, causing it to fall into this like very nostalgic place, this very addicting place, and apparently people are hungry for books like this again, which is exciting because like that era of books was a lot of fun. The beginning portion was wild. I was like, I get it, I understand the hype. If this is what this book is, if this is what this book is delivering, then get me a dragon. I'm about to join these dragon riders and probably fall to my death in the process. It was easy to fall into and get swept up in the madness, and something that I really appreciated about this book is how readable it is. Like, I love when fantasy books don't take too much work to understand, and this one is very simple in the fact that you don't feel like you're studying for an exam as you're reading it. It's very accessible, and anybody could pick up this book without having read any fantasy and just fall into it very easily. I loved the dragons and the idea behind bonding with your dragon, and just how the dragons themselves and that bond kind of played into the magic system and how it just kind of added another layer to it. Now, I knew going into this book that it was going to be romance heavy, and to tell you the truth, I didn't mind like the main romance that erupts throughout this story. Like, I was kind of into it. Is it cliche? Is it tropey? Yes. Is that a bad thing? No. And yeah, of course you know who's going to end up together fairly quickly. Like, it's very evident. It's right there in front of you. It's like, here you go. This is gonna be the relationship. We're gonna like try to sway you into believing that it's not gonna be the relationship, but it is the relationship. It's served up on a platter for you right here. The relationship can be a little bit frustrating to read just because it's one of those situations where it's like, we can't be together, but I can't resist being together. It's just a very frustrating situation. I feel like my main gripe with this book comes through with the writing style, which I know that I've like complimented this book on it being so readable, but that's more so in how she built up the world and how accessible it is. Everything else, a full-on mess, you guys, a full-on mess. I could not stand the dialogue in particular, and one of the biggest things that like just drove me nuts, every time I look at this book, I just can't help but think about, I could not stand how thirsty Violet was throughout this book. Not in terms of like a girl needing a drink of water, no, in terms of thirsting over hot people. It grinded my gears. Violet is all the time taking a second to call out someone's hotness, and every time it happened, it just completely took me out of the story. My soul left my body. I couldn't take it seriously, and by all means, get it, girl. Be thirsty. I'm just about to get my eyes stuck in the back of my head from how often I am rolling my eyes at you. It just gave me the biggest of icks, and I think in general the writing style was this book's biggest downfall. Again, more so in terms of like dialogue and character interactions. I do think she did a good job of building up this fantasy world like that. She did that. But everything else, no. It just didn't feel that polished to me. It felt like everything could have been tightened and so much neater. It was one of those situations where the whole time I was reading it, I just couldn't help but think to myself, this could be better. The potential is there, but it's just not hitting in the way that it could. Also, I got to this point in this book where I was just like, is anyone not hot? Because I feel like everyone is just described as insanely beautiful, and Violet is just always being like, oh my god, they're so hot. True. I also feel like while we had a really strong start, the middle section was just really not that engaging in my opinion. I did really like the way the book came to a close. I feel like the reveals made me realize just how this book is able to like get its claws in people. I personally do not have a desire to continue on with the series. I am glad that I read it to kind of like understand the hype and why people like it. And I feel like I accomplished that mission in reading this. Like, I get it. I understand the hype. I just personally do not have a desire to continue on with the series. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. I'm gonna move angles before we talk about the next book because it's so dark in here and the lighting is trash. I could set up my fancy lighting, but I don't want to do that. I'm feeling lazy, okay? Let's move positions. The lighting is much better by this window. I didn't even realize how gray of a day it was till I got to the end of talking about Fourth Wing and I was like, oh my gosh, the lighting is horrible. The next book that I read is YELLOWFACE by R.F. Kuang. In this book, we are following June, who's had a career in writing that has mostly been filled with lows. She has yet to find success within the writing world. Her friend Athena, on the other hand, has had a career filled with highs. She's a bestseller, and her books are consistently in high demand. When Athena dies in a freak accident, June ends up snatching up one of her manuscripts and pursues publishing it as her own. Unhinged behavior! This was not an easy book to read because the main character is the worst. The worst. Like, look up the word terrible in the dictionary and June's name will be present. If not, then the dictionary needs to be reprinted stat. She's an incredibly unlikable main character. She's super racist and is all the time telling herself that she's not racist. And I feel like a lot of people read this book and it didn't like click with the fact that like she's meant to be this way. She's meant to be incredibly unlikable. You're not supposed to like her. You're supposed to be frustrated with her. That's the whole point of her character, and I feel like that just did not click with people. And it's frustrating because I'm the type of person that really loves seeing growth by the end of novels. Like, I love when a character might not be the best, but you at least see a little bit of growth. You see some signs of growth. It doesn't have to be a lot of growth, just a little bit, just some lessons learned, some improvements. But by the end of this one, you just don't really reach that place. And at first I was like, that's really frustrating. Not gonna give us any growth? What's the point? Then it dawned on me that that is the point. That there are people who will never learn, people who will never show signs of growth, people who are stuck in their ways. It gives a really interesting and eye-opening look at the publishing industry and just how BIPOC authors are treated differently than their white counterparts, and just how the expectations are so different and how oftentimes BIPOC authors and creators are kind of boxed into this one thing and are not given the opportunity just to like unleash their creativity. It explores the world of Twitter discourse and cancellations and Goodreads reviews, all those sorts of things, and I feel like that aspect of the book was the thing that I didn't enjoy the most, but I also understood like its purpose within the story. And while it's not necessarily a fun read, like I never found myself being like, oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun reading this book. For me, there was something so addicting about it. And I think honestly, that addicting element came through with just how unhinged our main character is and just how deep her web of lies continued to be. Like, it was just crazy. It's a story where I just had a hard time turning my eyes away from what was unfolding. And I got to a point where I was like, things couldn't get any worse than this. Like, she can't get any more unhinged than she already is. But let me tell you, it gets more unhinged as the story progresses, and it's just shocking, but also not shocking. People are wild. We've seen some unhinged author behavior lately in the real world, so if you think the story that unfolds in this book could never happen, oh boy, it could. I gave YELLOWFACE a 4 out of 5 stars, and R.F. Kuang is quickly becoming an auto-buy author for me. I need to read Babel in order to like confirm this, but like so far, she does not miss. I've loved all her books so far. I need chapstick, like yesterday. I got the chapstick, I healed my lips. Amazing. The next book that I read is Despair by Prince Harry. In this book, we are following the life of Prince Harry, his battle with the press, his grief, his complex relationship with his family, his marriage to Meghan Markle, and his choice to leave royalty behind. I would hate having such a close-up of my face on a book cover. All my zits, all my wrinkles. Not saying he has zits or wrinkles, but I would hate to walk into a bookstore and see my face this close up. Like, no thank you. As someone who truthfully does not know that much about the royal family, other than Princess Diana was that girl and continues to be that girl even after her death, this was a very eye-opening book, albeit a little bit on the over-detailed side of things, and also just very one-sided. Like, this is just Prince Harry's perspective. Though I couldn't help but feel that, like, he was even holding back a bit. Like, even though I feel like it was very revealing, there were times when I was like, it feels like he's holding back from just, like, letting it all out. And I get it, things are already very complicated and messy, and throwing shade at your family when things are already complicated and messy just makes it even more complicated and messy. I will say that the one person he did drag to filth is his brother. Brother William, Prince William, excuse me. And even still, when he was dragging his brother, I felt like he was holding back, which might be because Will probably has just as much dirt on Prince Harry, so maybe that's why he held back a bit. But dang, he made Prince William out to be a full-on dick. The biggest brat at the palace. And like, sure, there are moments where it's just like older brother things, like just being mean just to be mean, just because he's the older brother, but then there are moments where it's like, William, what is going on here? What is with that ego? Oh my god. Forgive my ignorance, but I did not realize just how wrapped up into the press the royal family was. Like, I didn't realize how they like work hand in hand together. It's a fascinating world. Like, the fact that they are all like leaking stories and coming for each other in the press, I just can't imagine that being my life. Like, lies being made up about you often and being released for all to read and all to assume things about you, and constantly having a camera be in your face, like literally from birth. Like, the second you're born, having your mom having to like wrap you up in a blanket and be like, okay, let's go present you to the press, let's go present you to the paparazzi. Like, I can't imagine what that life is like, and that's literally been what Prince Harry's life has been like. He doesn't know a life without that. That's crazy to me. And I can't imagine like the long-term effects that has on you. Like, I feel like I would constantly be on edge. I would not be okay. I think something that I realized in reading from Prince Harry's perspective and talking about the royal family is just this lack of warmth that you normally feel with a family. And I know that that's like a very privileged thing. I know that not everybody experiences like the warmth of a family, but I noticed that like outside of talking about his mom, the way that he talked about the royal family just didn't feel like a family. Like, it just felt like a business transaction, and that just made me so sad to think about. I feel like at times it really felt like Prince Harry was doing the most to kind of clear his name of his past racist and insensitive actions. And like, he talks about how he's taking accountability and how he's doing the work he needs to be more educated, but then he would like make excuses for certain things that he did, and it's like, no, brother, if we're gonna take accountability, you have to entirely own up to what you did. It's fine to be like, I'm acknowledging that I did this, I'm working on myself, I'm educating myself, but end it there. Don't then continue to make excuses for why you did certain things and kind of have other people shoulder some of the blame. Like, you did what you did, it's your own fault. When you try to put some of the blame on other people, you're not fully taking accountability here. While I did enjoy this book and learning about Prince Harry and the royal family, I also couldn't help but just feel like this book was so over detailed. And while I love a moment when someone overshares their life with me, there were moments where I was like, I don't need to know this, full stop. And yes, I am in fact talking about his you-know-what getting frostbitten. My question is, what exactly is that adding to this book? There were so many other little things like that were just kind of like thrown in, and I know that this is about Prince Harry's life, not only just about his royal life, but there were just so many little things that were mentioned that just had little to no significance. And I was like, I will give Prince Harry the benefit of the doubt, I will hear him out, maybe we will circle back to this frostbite situation and there will be a life lesson situation here. No, there wasn't. The life lesson here is to go to the doctor immediately. I don't care if the situation is going to get leaked to the press. Take care of the frostbitten wiener, okay? I don't feel comfortable giving star ratings to memoirs because it feels like you're rating somebody's life, and like, I'm not about to do that. But if you're looking for a bit of an over-detailed look at Prince Harry's life, then I would recommend checking out this book. I'm also currently watching the docuseries that Harry and Meghan put out on Netflix, and that is basically like a condensed version of this book. Like, it doesn't explore every little detail that you find in this book, but like a lot of the things that are brought up in this book are brought up in that docuseries. So if you're looking for like a condensed version of this book, just watch the docuseries. The last book that I read to get myself out of this FOMO place to fit in with all the cool book kids Happy Place by Emily Henry. This book surrounds the story of Harriet and Wynne, who at one point had a whirlwind romance, but they've ended things and haven't told all of their friends yet. When Harriet arrives at this cottage in Maine, where her and her friends share loads of memories and good times together, the last person she expects to see is Wynne. But that's exactly who she sees, and the two decide together that they are going to just tuck their secret away and pretend to be the couple that they once were in order to keep the peace and not ruin the trip for all their friends. I'm about to unleash a gush fest, and I'm sorry for the person that I'm about to become, but this book was everything I ever want in a romance story. I read Book Lover by Emily Henry last year, and while I really enjoyed it, this book was on like a whole other level. I'm obsessed. I can't stop thinking about it. I want everyone ever to read it. Mind you, I feel like everyone ever has already read it, and I am just now arriving to the party. But I am here, and I am proudly in love with Happy Place. The broken relationship aspect was so well written, it was so believable, and so heartbreaking, and just... I warned you, when I love a book, I gush. We're following these two people who are still very clearly in love with one another, but at some point in the relationship, things get sour, and at the start, you're just like, why are you guys not together? You should be together. You're meant to be. You're clearly still very passionate about each other, and the relationship that once was, like, get a relationship therapist and work this out together pronto. But then you get to the point where the reveal happens as to why they're not together, and it makes sense, and it's devastating and heartbreaking, and you just, like, feel it. Like, you just feel the sadness surrounding it. Like, it's just such a heavy sadness because, like, you see how in love they clearly still are with each other, and then you get to that point and you're just like, I get why you're not together, but it's so upsetting that you're not together, and it just like, you just feel the pain alongside those characters. And I think that I just have so much respect in how Emily Henry wrote that, because like, she does such a fantastic job of like allowing you, the reader, to understand those feelings and to feel them alongside the characters. Like, she does a great job of getting you attached to the characters so that when they are going through this situation, like, you understand it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm not going to go in deep with that reveal. Obviously, I want you to read this for yourself and to find out for yourself. But it's just executed in a way where the relationship just feels so real and you just are on the ride with them. And that, you understand why things had to end, but you're rooting for them to get back together, communicate where they're at, and work things out. I feel like this book touches on so many other topics as well. We follow Harriet, who is really trying to please her parents in terms of her career choices. And she sort of lost her passion for like where she's currently at in life, and she's found this new thing that like really excites her. But the idea of turning her back on what she's working towards is filled with anxiety, obviously. I also really loved the exploration of Wynne's insecurities. It's something that like I really relate to. He found himself often just like feeling really insecure and talking about the field that he was working in because he felt like it was never as impressive as Harriet's career and all of Harriet's friends and where they were at in their careers. And that's just something that I strongly related to and completely understood. And then there's this idea of change and how the friend group is changing. Everybody within the group is getting older. And when they come together, they're kind of having to like relearn each other and kind of get used to who they are now that they've grown and changed a little bit. And then there's just like this added layer where their happy place, this little cottage that they have so many memories surrounding, is being sold off. So there's just so much change and shifting things happening. And it's just a beautiful exploration on friendships and what friendships can look like and how they can change and alter, but how some things can stay the same. And it reminded me so much of my own friend group. There was a line in here that actually like almost made me emotional. It didn't fully make me emotional, but like the more that I thought about it, I was like, oh, I love this. And of course I'm gonna read it to you. It says, "My best friends taught me a new kind of quiet, the peaceful stillness of knowing one another so well you don't need to fill the space. And a new kind of loud, noise as celebration, as the overflow of joy at being alive. Here, now." Friendship aspect, just so beautiful. There are so many lines like that one sprinkled throughout this book that I was just like living for. And I think that that's one of the things that really stood out to me with this book in particular, with this Emily Henry book in particular. The characterizations were executed well. The topics that she brought up were actually explored in a way that like made sense to the plot, which I feel like is something that I've had a problem with a lot of other authors, is that like they'll bring up a topic just to bring up a topic and not really explore it or not have it be woven into the plot in any kind of way. It's just like there. And I can't stand that. Like, that bothers me a lot. So it was nice to have these topics be brought up and actually be explored and actually have them make sense for the different characters. I feel like the writing bits that stood out to me the most were just like how she wrote the character emotions and also like the tension within the relationship. fantastic. Like, I am seated and I am taking notes, Emily Henry. I ended up giving Happy Place a full-on 5 out of 5 stars. This was my favorite book that I read for this video. Those were 4 of the most popular 2023 releases and my thoughts on them. I'm glad to be in the know on these books and why they were so hyped, why they were so popular, why they were so loved. My favorite by far was Happy Place, but I feel like YELLOWFACE comes in a close second. Obviously, I gave YELLOWFACE a 4 out of 5 stars, but I still like really enjoyed it. It feels good to be in the know, especially about Fourth Wing, because I feel like that's the book that I was like the most curious about. I'm like, what is in this book? What is having people go wild over it? I know now, I understand a little bit. Even though like I don't full on love it, I get it. I want to hear from you guys down below in the comments. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books and what your thoughts are on them. If you haven't read any of these books, then let me know down below in the comments a 2023 book release that you read that you feel like should have been much more popular. Let me know down below in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye, yo!